So, Geeks and Gamers, what do you have for us this time? Naughty Dog continues to lie about The Last of Us Part 2. Holy shit. So, I haven't played The Last of Us Part 2. I haven't played the first Last of Us. So, I don't. Uh, I know a little. I know a fair bit about the original story because I watched a Let's Play of it several years ago. Um, and I know how it ends and the whole situation with Joel. And I've picked up through cultural osmosis at least a portion of the events of the second game, specifically that I guess major spoilers for The Last of Us 2 from here on. So if you don't want the game spoiled, fair enough. Come back in 20 or 30 minutes or so, I guess. But from what I understand, uh, there's a character who kills Joel because he killed her parents. At the end of the first game, Joel goes on a killing spree among the Firefly doctors or whatever, and kills them because he can't stand them killing Ellie. And at some point in the second game, one of the children of those doctors catches up with Joel and kills him. And that is one of the major issues that I know a lot of people had. I don't know if that's specifically what Geeks and Gamers is talking about here today, but I know that was a thing that made a lot of people quite angry. So let's see how they think Naughty Dog is lying about The Last of Us Part 2. Geeks and Gamers, take it away.
What's up, Geeks and Gamers? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and today we are talking about Naughty Dog, Neil Druckmann, Laura Bailey. Laura Bailey is the actress that portrays Abby in The Last of Us Part 2, and a lot of the situation revolving that with the harassment that Laura is facing, and now Neil Druckmann is facing harassment, and I'm going to address that. Now, initially, I didn't want to jump on this story.
So I wonder if he's going to acknowledge that he likely bears at least some responsibility for the harassment of Laura Bailey, given how much Geeks and Gamers has been at the forefront of the issues people have had with The Last of Us 2, particularly the character of Abby. Remember that when those screenshots and videos leaked before the game came out, there was speculation. I don't want to say that Jeremy here created the speculation, but he definitely didn't help in the situation. But there was a lot of speculation that Abby was a trans woman because of how jacked she is. And if you haven't seen screenshots of her, I think I can safely show this. Yeah, she's jacked. Which makes sense given that she's grown up in a post-apocalyptic world where it's quite literally eat or be eaten. And I can kind of see how if you're a shitty gamer boy, you might think this looks like a trans woman. You know, someone who was born assigned male at birth and transitioned later in life into a woman, perhaps in their minds incompletely. But no, this looks like someone who has been uh, surviving more or less on their own for their entire life. So yeah, and this definitely doesn't look like what most people like their video game girls to look like. I mean, let's take a look at Ellie. I mean, that's even she's a little small and muscular for how most of these gamer boys like their video game girls, but she's at least feminine. So, yeah, the fact that Geeks and Gamers is at least partially responsible for the outrage about Abby, and certainly, at least to some extent, led the outrage about her killing Joel. Even though, from what I understand, it was a pretty good scene, pretty powerful scene. Again, I haven't I haven't played the game. I don't own a PS4, so I, you know, can't play it. But yeah, so I do think that he bears some responsibility for that. But let's continue.
Because ultimately, you know, when you disavow hate on the internet to this level, to me, it's stating the obvious. Anyone that's ever watched this channel knows that I have never once supported anyone sending these types of threats to anyone. I've never said it, never will support it. So me making
No, you just talk about how bad they are for the uh God, why do I turn on the camera and words suddenly become fucking impossible? Bad for the industry. You just talk about how they're ruining games and how this is going to be a terrible game. They're ruining a beloved franchise with this character or this scene or this plot point. This is one of the major issues with people like Jeremy here, where they'll say, I don't condone threatening people, I don't threaten people. All I do is just talk about how they're ruining this thing we all love. But that's not telling people to threaten them. That's not. No, it's just pointing out who is making the thing you enjoyed bad.
making a video to tell you how I am not in support of this thing that literally everyone with common sense is against really doesn't make a lot of sense.
And also, there again, he makes it a common sense versus SJW or whatever term he wants to use dichotomy. So, again, for the last time, I haven't played The Last of Us 2. But I've talked to some people who have. I've seen some people talk about it. And again, from what I understand, the character of Abby is pretty good. Uh the story of The Last of Us 2 is kind of meh overall, which is surprising for a Naughty Dog game. Naughty Dog is known more for their stories and their mechanics. Apparently, The Last of Us 2 is sort of an inversion of that, surprisingly. A good gameplay experience with a mediocre story, but I haven't played any Naughty Dog games, so I can't really comment on that. But again, from what I've heard from people who have experienced it, uh, Abby is pretty good, and these people generally exhibit some. These people are generally pretty progressive people, so it's not so surprising that Jeremy here is talking about how they're. Anyone with common sense would tell you this ruins the game.
And it's what the far left weirdos constantly do. They constantly take a situation that pretty much is 99% universal that everyone agrees with, and then they want to act virtuous because they're taking a stand.
But it's not 99% of people agreeing with it. You just want. This is something that I've seen a lot of people like Jeremy who are kind of. What word do I want to use to describe these reactionary gamer boys who want to act like their attitude is the norm and the default, And so anyone who expresses a different view is just trying to break from the norm. When, even if it is majority, which a majority of gamers probably, I'll go ahead and grant that he probably has a majority opinion for gamers, but that's because there's a lot of gamers who grew up in the Gamergate era and have a lot of those attitudes internalized. Now, things are shifting, things are changing dramatically, and that is a good thing. But to say that 99% of players knew that this was a bad thing, but the far left weirdos are virtue signaling, which is basically what he's saying, about how it's actually a good thing or whatever, it just doesn't hold up.
I'm taking a stand against kicking puppies. I am brave. That's what they do. So I really wasn't going to, talk about this topic, but today Naughty Dog sent out a tweet that really it was really annoying to me, because they're talking about how we welcome critical discussions, everyone, but we don't accept this type of behavior, making it about them, making the situation about them.
This is fucking PR 101. What the fuck are you talking about? They want to make it clear that they don't condone people threatening or harassing their voice actors or designers or developers or what have you. But they want to make it at least seem clear that they're not trying to stifle criticism. Good faith general criticism. This is PR 101. What the fuck?
Every single time, it's always about them. It's never about the problem. Do you know why? Because the problem's not isolated to them. They act like it's isolated to them, but it's not. I mean, look at us at Geeks and Gamers. I get death threats all the time on the internet, constantly. The women at Geeks and Gamers catch hell. Absolute hell. Because simply why? Because they are a woman. They're intelligent, they're attractive, and they have their own opinions. And the people that are constantly preaching about how much they respect women and they want women to have a voice, those are the same people that attack women that are part of Geeks and Gamers. Cameron Pasha came on this channel.
No, they're not. They may claim to be, but if they are truly progressive and left-wing weirdos, as you coined them, then they're not going to threaten anyone with violence or other threats that you're alluding to. And I know I'm no true Scotsmaning here. I'll grant that. But even if they do claim to be, their actions speak otherwise. A left-wing weirdo, the people he's referring to, would not threaten people who do these things. That is not what they would do. Because we understand that that's not how you make changes. That's not how you fix things. Threatening a voice actor just means that voice actor is going to be less likely to take parts, even though they have nothing to do with the words they say. This is the important thing. Anyone who blames, this is one of the wild things about people like the Quartering, Geeks and Gamers, these kind of right-wing gamer people. They want to go after their number one enemy. What was a year or so ago was Brie Larson, because Brie Larson was Captain Marvel, and she dared to talk about how Captain Marvel wasn't for white men or whatever. She dared to point out that there was a demographic who was interested in comic book movies that wasn't middle-class white men. And this drove these people fucking nuts. They hate her for that, even though all she is an actress. You know what happens if you harass her into no longer doing Captain Marvel and doing comic book movies? The producers find someone else. Because those movies are still incredibly popular, incredibly successful, incredibly profitable. They never go after the actual issues. They just go after the people who, in their minds, represent it. And in so many cases, this is just actors. People who are literally being paid to put on a costume and pretend to be whatever they're being paid to pretend to be, and often have little or no input into that character. Now, we can quibble over whether Brie Larson maybe stepped over a line or something with her comments, but no, fuck that. She said what she said, and she had the right to say it. And she's right. There is an audience for these comic book movies who are not middle class white dudes. And maybe it's good that a movie was made for them. Same with games. There are plenty of people who are not middle class white dudes who want to be represented in games, but then people like Jeremy here, like the Quartering, like No Bullshit, like all these people, they cry and cry and cry whenever there's anyone darker than Jeremy in a game, even if it's just one person. It's disgusting and ludicrous.
You know, he's a non-white dude. He's a Muslim. And he had some opinions, and he dropped some information about some things he's heard about Jon Favreau and George Lucas. And the internet went after him. The same people that talk about inclusion and diversity, they went after him. Why? Because he shared an opinion they didn't like, and he did it on a channel that they've built up to be this big bad wolf. And the same people that tell you how much they're for all those things have used his race and his religion against him. That's what they do. This happens. So again, everything that happened to Laura Bailey is terrible, and I don't support it. And I would imagine 99% of all of you that are watching this channel don't support it. And people are going to go, see, you're pandering to people because you said 1% of your audience. I didn't say that. I'm leaving the opportunity out there to say there's probably a shitty person or two that's watching this channel. And if they are watching this channel and they believe in this stuff and they're part of this stuff, I want them.
99% of 65,000 people is still like 600 people. Or 1% of 65,000 people, I think. I'm an English major, not a math major. Oops. Yeah, 650 people. Which is more than enough to ruin someone's life if they concentrate. And let's be honest, Jeremy, it's a lot more than 1% of your population doing this. 1% of your audience doing this.
Them to know they can go to hell. They can burn in hell, because no one should send any type of threats to someone that portrayed a character in a video game or a movie or a television show that you didn't like. And even if that person had opinions you didn't like, you still shouldn't do it, because it's ridiculous. It's completely over the line. And any point you're trying to make, any point you're trying to fight for in the entertainment industry gets completely lost when you behave like that. And no one should take you seriously. You are trash. But it's not isolated to Naughty Dog, even though Naughty Dog wants you to believe it is. Now, here we are on their tweet. Although we welcome critical discussion, no, you don't. You literally struck YouTube channels down for having critical discussions.
I don't know what the critical discussion they were having, but what they were doing was they were preventing. This is something I'm a little more sympathetic to when it comes to corporations wielding their power. What they were striking down was people using the leaked footage and information to make assumptions about the game, which can significantly impact the reception of those of that game. I've talked about this a little bit before on the channel, how specifically talking about Magic the Gathering, leaking cards in a set has been shown to, if it's leaked in a way that reveals information they were trying to control. How do I say this and stay true to my my beliefs here, without too much hemming and hawing? So, when you're releasing an artistic thing, there may be ways to take it out of context and make it seem like like something different, like a story beat, or a reveal of a character, or a mechanic or something, which taken out of context looks really bad, but in the proper context is really fun. So what they were doing, as I understand it, was they were going after people who were using these leaks to try to say something about the game itself, which may not, and probably wasn't, true according to, in the proper context. For instance, there was a lot of discussion about how Abby was a trans woman, which is not true. Apparently, there is a trans woman, trans person in The Last of Us 2, but again, I don't know enough about that. I've heard it was actually handled pretty well, but a lot of people were up in arms about that and claimed that they were just there for whatever bad thing. Moreover, you need a little bit more than just them striking down critiques using leaked footage for proof that they don't welcome critical discussion. Like, you really haven't demonstrated that, Jeremy. Sorry.
Mine included. That's why my video has now returned after you struck down a live stream of mine where I was critical of you for abusing the copyright system. So you struck my channel down. And you did this to not only my channel, but so many others. And yes, I will continue to talk about it nonstop, especially when you are literally lying to people on Twitter. You do not allow critical discussion. But here they are.
What a Weasley little liar, dude. Still lying, dude. What a Weasley little liar. Jesus Christ, Jeremy. If you're able to upload the video now, then clearly the issue was that you were using leaked footage at the time. If you're able to upload the video now, then obviously the window of time where they had an issue with that footage being out there, and given that under our current laws and rules, it's within their right to strike that leaked footage out. That's the way it is. I've got an ideology if you want to change that, Jeremy, but you're probably not interested.
Making it about them. And then Neil Druckmann makes it about him. Unfortunately, this is now the cost of making popular entertainment.
As the people that propagate this kind of hate would say, how stunning and brave. I hope these gamers get the mental help they so clearly need. Fortunately, this is now the cost of making popular entertainment that challenges conventions. Laura doesn't deserve any of this. Laura, excuse me. Man, I try to only post positive stuff on here, but sometimes this just gets a little overwhelming. I blacked out some of the words because, spoilers. Side note, thank you to all the people sending me positive messages. Okay. I'm going to kill you because you... something. I'm going to find where... Yeah. See, again, this is them blaming a fucking voice actor, someone who literally just read lines into a microphone, for the actions of her character in a video game. Are you kidding me? This is insane. And how is Neil Druckmann making this about himself? He's literally saying that this is the cost of making popular entertainment that challenges conventions. Laura doesn't deserve any of it. This is not, oh, woe is me, or why are these people attacking Naughty Dog? He's just commenting on how this is the cost of making popular entertainment that challenges conventions, which, by all accounts, Last of Us 2 does. Holy shit.
It challenges conventions. Yes,
What a Weasley little liar, dude. Still lying.
Neil, it's all about you. It's all about you. And you see, he's even throwing sarcastic shade. As the people that propagate this kind of hate would say, how stunning and brave. Who? Who is propagating this type of hate? Who?
You, the quartering teal deer, not so much. I don't know that that Sargon weighed in on it. All these people are creating this message of hate and dude, we all know it's you. We all know it's people like you. How? Do you think his fans actually buy this, or do they understand that he's the one virtue signaling here?
Everyone that I know stands against this nonsense. But this is what they try to do. If you're critical of our game, this is the type of person you are. This is what Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog are trying to do. You know, and Neil Druckmann has shown, he shared more.
You can never hit the game and share your thoughts about it. Unfortunately, too many of the messages I've been getting are vile, hateful, and violent. There are just a handful of them. So it's important to expose. Trigger warning: transphobic, homophobic, anti-Semitic, etc. Is the happy merchant. Wow. Holy shit! They really pissed off the Nazis. Stupid fucking wow. Good cash leaked. It fucked liberal cunt. Wow. So is Jeremy's argument here that the people making these threats are left-wingers? Are socialists and anarchists and progressives? Is that really his fucking argument? Because this is all fucking Nazis.
Things he's been receiving. And again, I don't support any of this. I don't support any person that is sending these types of messages at all. But will Neil Druckmann stand up and support the women at Geeks and Gamers and me who are constantly getting it? And
yes. I guarantee that he would say unequivocally that threats of violence or harassment or whatever are bad, no matter who they're levied against or why they're being levied against them. Absolutely. No, I can say with knowing next to nothing about Neil Druckmann. I don't even know who the fuck Neil Druckmann is. Is he a developer at Naughty Dog? Is he like the president? Is a writer. Okay. Writer, creative director, and programmer, vice president of Naughty Dog. Okay. That explains it. Okay. Also, he's Israeli, which explains why he pissed off the Jews so much. Or pissed off the Nazis, rather. I don't know how the Jews feel about him. I don't care. But I can guarantee, knowing nothing else about him, that he would unequivocally deny or disavow and dislike anyone who committed these threats. Period. No discussion there whatsoever.
Not just the women and the children, you know, but everyone, pretty much anybody at Geeks and Gamers. Like I said, Cameron Pasha came on here, and all because he gave opinions that people didn't like, and because he said something that didn't line up with their narrative, suddenly they go after his religion and his race. All because why? Because of an opinion. So it's the same thing. This is not isolated. So if we're going to speak out against the problem, let's speak out against the problem. But more often than not, it's never about the problem. It's about the narrative that can be built within the specific situation that you are trying to talk about. And my biggest problem here, from a Naughty Dog perspective, my biggest problem, because obviously my bigger problem would be anyone that's sending these ridiculous messages. So that's neither here nor there.
Nice virtue signaling, Jeremy.
Because it's obvious. My biggest problem, though, with Naughty Dog is them creating this false narrative that, although we welcome critical discussion, most of the criticism you're facing is because you won't allow critical discussion. And this is what they do. They strike.
How many channels and videos have been struck since the game released, Jeremy? Have your videos been struck because of criticism of The Last of Us 2 since the game was released? Or was it that you were using leaked footage and leaked information to build a narrative about the game? Because you're pretty strongly talking about how the streams and videos you made that were critical of the game using the leaked footage and leaked information was struck down, but I haven't heard much about subsequent criticisms getting struck down. So which is it, Jeremy? Are you still getting struck down? I doubt it.
Channels down for simply having critical discussion. They don't respond. They put these channels in danger of being deleted. They put a lot of stress on all the creators simply for having an opinion they don't like. And then they go and say, oh, well, we allow critical discussion, but when you are this, that, or the other, and they're trying to build a narrative around any of the criticism that they're facing. This is what they do. And again, although you allow critical or you welcome critical discussion, yet you reached out to Vice, who gave you a bad review, to try to get some context. Why did you guys give us a bad review? Maybe because your game's not that good. But you welcome critical discussion. Naughty Dog is out of control. And
what is he? I hadn't heard about that. Let's... Okay. It's pretty telling ending. It digs 2 graves, fills them with blood, and then just fucking wallows in them. Okay. What exactly are you talking about with Naughty Dog reaching out to Vice? Because, I mean, it's entirely plausible for a company if a review comes out that a developer feels misrepresents their game, it's perfectly reasonable for them to ask how they came to that conclusion. Again, this may seem like I'm running apologia for the corporate establishment or what have you, but I'm giving the benefit of the doubt to Naughty Dog over Jeremy here. I think that's fair. So, while I'm not trying to overtly defend Naughty Dog and the corporate structure they represent, I am willing to give them the benefit of the doubt when the only other information I have is this guy's word.
And You know, the woke world of Twitter is going to continue to give them all they want. They get all the likes, all the retweets, and no one there, generally speaking, is going to question them. Obviously, there are individuals on the platform that will question them, but generally speaking, they're still going to get the mass retweets and the mass favorites by being virtuous and showing how they are better than everyone else. And we are the victims, ladies and gentlemen. But the reality of the situation is, if you're on the internet, if you have any relevance whatsoever, you have dealt with things like this in a similar way. And that doesn't make it right. It absolutely doesn't make it right. But it also doesn't make it specific to you, Naughty Dog, even though you're going to
No one is saying it's specific to that. Are you fucking kidding me? Nowhere in Neil Druckmann's tweet, nowhere in the Naughty Dog tweet were they saying this is unique to Naughty Dog or unique to The Last of Us 2. No one is saying, oh, woe is me about being... No one is saying this is unique to them. Holy shit, what are you talking about? Like, seriously. What if this is them saying this is uniquely a problem with the response to Naughty Dog? Where is that? Show me. Because so far all you've done is showed me tweets where Laura Bailey, Neil Druckmann, and Naughty Dog, the developer, all condemn people threatening them and talking about how they are wretched or scum or what have you.
Does. That is the truth, even though you're not willing to admit it. So again, one more time, and let's go over back at her tweets, because this is initially what started all of it right here. This is Laura Bailey. And again, I have not heard anything from Laura Bailey that, and maybe she has had some things to say, but again, even if she had opinions that you didn't like, it doesn't justify this nonsense. It just doesn't. And I know there...
I mean, I agree there. You're attacking a voice actor for the words someone else wrote and paid her to say in a video game.
There's people out there that'll go, well, what about faking screenshots, Jeremy? That's possible. Yes, you can fake screenshots on the internet. Anyone that's on the internet knows that her getting these types of messages absolutely happens. So let's not bring the whole these could be fake whatever, argument into it, because that's dumb, because we all know that the internet does this. People on the internet send these types of messages to people all the time. Sometimes it comes from the same people that are trying to build that narrative, and we totally understand that. But there's also really effed up people out there that do send these types of messages. And we have to call them out. We have to separate ourselves from that type of behavior, because ultimately, what are we trying to accomplish here? We're trying to accomplish that we don't want identity politics and real world politics impacting our entertainment. And if that is truly our goal, then we have to call out people like this and say, these types of people are pieces of garbage. No, I'm not responsible for anybody else's words on the internet. But I am responsible for calling out blatantly horrific behavior from people like this. These people are terrible, and you have to call them out. But it is not our responsibility to determine opinions on the internet. But unfortunately, we're in this situation where Naughty Dog is trying to create a narrative. Naughty Dog is trying to create a kind of view of the overall criticism.
Hey, Next SVK, glad to see you here again.
That they are facing. And we have to understand the game they're playing, because they are not trying to speak out against this behavior. They are trying to utilize this specific behavior to act like they and people like them are the only ones that get this type of behavior on the internet. And that is bullshit. But
what it tends to be progressive people who get this kind of behavior because they want to change the status quo. And people on the progressive end of the spectrum don't tend to make death threats because they generally understand that critiquing the system is more effective than critiquing an individual. and death threats don't do anything. So it's generally progressive people challenging cultural norms who get this kind of behavior, get this kind of response. But no one is saying that this is unique to an individual or a game or what have you. To mauled means to be so mad that you're balding. Like ripping your hair out because you're mad. It's a streamer lingo I picked up from Vosh, and I think it originated with Destiny, but it's just something that's kind of caught on in the Twitch community.
Hope you guys enjoy this video. Please go check out geeksandgamers.com.
Yeah, so there was nothing of substance here. This is just him claiming that Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann were going woe is me about being... He's just a Weasley little fucking liar, dude. What else can I say? Jeremy's a Weasley little liar. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. Remember to like, share, and leave a comment because it helps me. Subscribe and ring that bell to help you. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.